Okay, before I get started, I have not seen Unbreakable yet, so tomorrow, which is actually today because this is like 12:10, 12:12 or something in the morning. I think it's past that, but I had to write up my notes and I've already botched twice on this video. It happens. But I will be doing Unbreakable tomorrow. I hope you don't mind it. But I had to see what's going on for this episode, so when I go into Unbreakable, I have better context of what is going to be shown. So, what did we get here? Ooh, I got a lot to talk about. So let's talk about the first thing. Number one, I enjoyed the number one contenders match, but I think they didn't need to have so many people there. Particularly one was from Border City Wrestling, which was Aiden Prince, and then a guy from Europe, from UK, named Chuck Mambo. Oh, I've never seen the guy. I don't know if I got a picture. If I do, it's in my face. But then you got Petey Williams, you got Wentz, and you got Raju, which they always throw Raju in there, which he is an X Division guy. But I really do wish they would push Raju a little bit more because he has great ability. He does talk pretty well. And he acts like a bumbling buffoon in the Depsy Hit Squad, which kind of pisses me off. I'm being honest here. Raju, to me, really has great potential. He used to be called Zayn at one point when he first came into Impact. The name I love, but in the end, he's Raju. So I hope one day they do something with him, which the way things are, no. But was the match good? It was actually very good, but there was one major issue. A lot of the action was outside the ring, and the camera could not catch all of it. That was the major issue. They were almost exclusively outside the ring, and there was a lot of rest. Not saying there was a huge amount like WWE, no. They really wanted to make sure everyone was spotlighted, but the problem was they also did a lot of fighting outside, so the camera couldn't catch it all. And that was a major issue for me personally. Doesn't mean it was a bad match. In the end, it was Aiden Prince. Am I right? Yes, it's Aiden Prince from Border City Wrestling. Unless he's coming to Impact, this is a one-off. He's going up against Jake Chris, who, well, if you saw the videos that they showed on Impact, he don't want nobody touching his title or he's going to knock their teeth down their throat. Fine. But if he's supposed to be one of the disciples of OVE, why would he be acting like that towards Sammy? That really doesn't seem to sit well with me. I'm sorry. If OVE, you see how that upset me? That Sammy Callahan, who's supposed to control all three of these guys, cannot even hold in his hands the X Division title from a Jake Chris, who he can kick the ass of. That just doesn't seem right. That doesn't sit well with me. That upsets me quite a lot. Now, let's move on to the next thing, which was very believable to me personally. Havoc versus Johnny Bravo with a Taya Valkyrie at ringside. Did not last long, and it wasn't meant to last long. You are talking about Johnny Bravo, who obviously is taller than me. I'm like 5'8.5" to 5'9", and it's kind of hard to say what I am because of my injury, because of my disability, that one part of my body is out of balance. I literally lean because one leg is actually longer than the other due to my unfortunate disease in my hip. I'm actually off balance. I've never really said that on camera. I know that doesn't matter, but anyway, I'm maybe 5'8", 5'9". The guy is way taller than me. And even though he's taller than me, he's going up against a very thick, she's in my face, thick Havoc, who compared to Tessa Blanchard is easily believable for large wrestlers to face. This is where you see the difference of class of a middleweight compared to a heavyweight or super heavyweight in a Havoc. She destroyed him, which was believable because of her size. He's not even close to her size. He's still actually a little bit smaller than her. But in the end, I could believe a Havoc destroying a Johnny Bravo, who is just a ref, who actually kissed her hand and unbuttoned his shirt to try and get the wooing in. Didn't matter. And basically, Havoc is saying simply, I'm coming for that title to Taya Valkyrie. But then here's the thing that made no sense, which was surprising at this time. That's why it didn't make any sense. You have Su Yung, who speaks, who sings and speaks. And the problem here is this. If you do have a feud with Su Yung versus a Havoc, wouldn't it be better to have Havoc win the title and then Su Yung screw with her? Because then it would make more sense for her to mess with Havoc, not now. This does not feel right. It feels like it was too soon. This is just me. You guys can tell me if this is the right time. Many of you probably will say it's perfect timing. But for me, it does not. Because she doesn't have a title match. And she definitely does not have the title. And I feel like this isn't the right time. Next, we got Mike Elgin talking about Rhino. And also we saw Rhino. Michael Elgin pretty much putting over Rhino, saying pretty much you have been in ECW or ECW original, know what you're doing, but you picked on the wrong guy, and unlike that company you were with, I'm going to put you in the hospital. Cool. Then you got Rhino, and he did it right, at least for me. Anyone else might think it was a little overbearing, maybe it might have been corny, but he pretty much said, I'm not here to kiss asses. I'm not here to be like I was in the previous place where pretty much I was sitting on my ass eating food. I'm here to beat the shit out of people. They bleeped him a lot. I'm here to kick ass. I'm here to beat the shit out of people. That's my job, and that's what I'm going to do. Generally speaking, he didn't really say it in those words, but he made it very vocal, very vulgar, some people, and cursing it out. Essentially, I can believe this by a Rhino who we know for a fact was doing absolutely nothing except on Superstars and sitting in the back when Raw and SmackDown was going on. He's been doing nothing until he left the company. So I can believe this. I'm comfortable with that. Now, Kiera Hogan and Madison Rayne was with a new knockout. I don't recognize and I don't remember her name right now. She's wearing all white to signify that she's a good guy. And pretty much she was between a bitch on bitch sandwich. Pretty much both of them are acting bitchy. You got Madison Rayne who thinks she's the locker room, head of the locker room. And then you got Kiera Hogan who believes that no one is above her, no matter even if it's the locker room head of the entire... The thing is, I can understand why they're conflicting. But to be honest, I do believe eventually they have to be friends. And become best friends and then best enemies afterward. Because as it stands now, they're in the butting heads phase of their friendship. And I do believe eventually they're going to have to be friends. Then be a tag team together where one will help the other. And then they'll betray one another. One of them is going to basically turn the other. They're going to have a feud. Where one of them will eventually turn back to a face. Now, I do believe Kiera Hogan would turn back to a face, but I'm not saying now. I'm going to make this clear. This should be happening now. This should be maybe 4 or 5, maybe 6 months down the road where Kiera could turn back to a face again after she's had enough time to really show what she can do as a heel. Alright, Twitch time. The Twitch stream. And that was a bit of a mixed bag because Melissa... And we got a little bit more than just the Twitch stream with Melissa. I will talk about that in a minute. But Melissa was outside, legitimately outside in the street. You saw cars going by. You saw people looking at her. I don't know how I feel about that because it was unique. It was interesting. Some of the people who was at Unbreakable, well, either Unbreakable or whatever that was going on, because that had to be Unbreakable. It just felt like it should have been a little bit closer to the arena inside. But if it was really that noisy and she had to go outside, it's understandable. So I'm cool with that. But it was a bit spotty on the stream, which is understandable. You're outside. There's a lot of interference from cars, power lines, and anything else in the vicinity. Now, the interview, sort of, with... how can I explain this? This is where things kind of become a little difficult for me. Because she was okay on the stream. As I said before, Melissa's probably the most sweetest person on the planet. But she needs to work on dealing with her trips. I guess I'm botching this because I'm trying not to sound like a hypocrite. Because when it comes down to it, she's gotten better on a Twitch stream. She has. But here, in this situation where she does need to be there for the Brian Cage, and when you got Jimmy Jacobs as the interviewer going to her house or any house, wherever it is, it could be her house, and trying to do an interview there, she felt very cringy. Now, this is a woman, mind you, who's supposed to be doing interviews. And you would think that in this situation, she needed to take a step back and say, okay, they want me to do an angle with my man, my husband. And this is my chance to at least show that I have a little bit of variation. It did not happen. It felt like she was still interviewing. And in fact, it felt very cringy. It felt like when she first started doing Twitch, it felt very cringy. It felt very not well done. Now, I'm not trying to bash it completely, and I want to make this very clear. If this is the first time she's doing it, I'm not talking about any other promotion, because I understand she was on Lucha Underground, and she probably did a great job there, but here in Impact, this just didn't feel right. It felt cringy, seeing her trying so hard to make it work. And then, and I'm not trying to be a killjoy or nothing, but if Melissa did see this, I'm going to say, honey, Melissa, you're a beautiful, nice lady. But I'm going to be honest to you. You look cute in your red top, but you should have wore a bra with that sucker, because I can see a nip sticking out very well. And if you see the picture I have in front of me, I don't know if it has her nipples showing, but her nipples were showing. And I'm going to be honest here, as a guy who's single, no longer married, seeing a woman with a nice pair of boobs is something that's nice to stare at, but if I'm trying to be objective and do a proper review, I don't need to see a woman basically without a bra on and her nipples showing. Because a guy like me who has nobody is going to go zip. And then he has to remember, like, whoa, stop. What is she saying? What is going on with Jimmy Jacob? Focus. Now, you can say that even if she did wear a bra. But I'm the type of person that if the person's going to be doing a segment, they have to not only talk properly, they got to be in a certain attitude, but they got to have at least a good dress. They got to look properly. They got to look the part. And she looks like a wife that pretty much is not really paying attention when a guy or girl is going to look at those titties. I'm sorry. I'm not being offensive, and I hope I'm not. I'm just, there you go. Let's move on. Her nips did look nice. Now, Austin, this kind of upsets me. I know one of my subscribers, I can't remember which one, but he really likes Ace Austin. And he believes he can be a franchise of the X Division. He can be a franchise there. And honestly, the way they're booking him, nope. And I'm not against my subscriber. I think it was Mr. TNA 2005. I could be wrong. It could be somebody else. I can't remember who it is. But I can tell you this. I do agree that Ace Austin could be a great X Division champion. He's got great talent. He has personality. He has charisma. But as it stands, particularly putting him in this storyline where he's trying to hit on Eddie Edwards' wife, Alyssa. Then he gets his dick grabbed by Stone Rockwell. And then he has a match with Stone Rockwell, gets his ass, he destroyed, well, not destroys, but he pretty much beats the crap out of him. But then it's like, what is this weirdness of Rockwell basically grabbing him like he's posing with him, like he's trying to rescue the damsel in distress? Come on. I know that's trying to be like the adventure, like Harrison Ford trying to rescue the damsel in distress, but seriously? But then you have him get destroyed by Eddie Edwards. Now, you could say he's working with Eddie Edwards, a former tag team champion, a former world champion. Hell, a former Noah champion. I can't remember what it was, the name of the title. But he worked for Wrestling Noah. He won the championship there, the first foreigner to win it. But the problem is this. as good as you can put Eddie Edwards, he has not been in the main title scene for quite a while. And he really, excuse me, he really needs to be in the main title picture, not having a feud with someone like an Ace Austin. Ace Austin should be dealing with, hell, Jake Chris. I'm sorry. He should have gone and stepped up to OVE and pretty much said, hey, I'm Ace Austin. I want that damn title. And even though he would get his ass handed to him, he could keep his attitude and look like a badass trying to prove how good he is. Even though he would probably get his butt kicked by Jake, David, Mad Dog Fulton, even Sammy himself. At least he would show he got balls. That's just the way I see it. Because seeing him deal with Rockwell and then deal with Eddie Edwards just does not feel right for me. Now, if it does lead him down the X Division title picture, I can understand. But then what about Eddie? Just doesn't feel right. Now, let's see. What else do we have here? No, I'm not going to go there yet. Let's move on to the final match of the night. Before the one thing I really need to talk about. That is the North versus the Rascals of Trey and Dez. Dez, I truly believe, is one of the best X Division wrestlers that is on that roster. I know I said Ace Austin is really good, and he is. But if you put Ace Austin versus Dez, I'm sorry. Dez destroys Ace Austin. He's just a better high flyer. Because the X Division is mostly based in high flying and high impact. Dez is better than Ace. That's just my opinion. Of course, there's others that are not going to be totally in agreement. Maybe they'll think Trey or Wes, or anyone else. But to me, Ace Austin is not the best. It's Dez. And this match was the best match of the night, hands down. It was a long match, nearly 25 minutes, I think. You got the North, and Josh and Ethan, they just really made a good dynamic. You got two big guys, like I've been talking about, versus two little guys and the Rascals. That's why I wanted Moose. And I know I forgot, I got to do Moose as well. That means I got 3 things to talk about instead of 2. I'll go on to Moose in a few minutes. But, like I said with Moose and Killer Cross, you needed a different dynamic. You always had 2 smaller guys dealing with 2 smaller or medium-sized guys. You look at the North, they're big guys, and it makes sense. Seeing them dominate them. Yes, they got problems with the Rascals because they're high flyers. They also have a good amount of impact. But you're talking about big guys who have very high level of impact. And even with some cheating, they won, and it's understandable they had to win. And I'm glad they won. And also, you got Ortiz trying to kick their ass by himself. Did not work. And the new guy, I can't remember his name, with Conan, helps him out, and he couldn't stand it, and he walks off. Okay. Now, let's go to Moose. Moose actually beats up on Rockwell after the match is over, and he pretty much says, I'm sick and tired of this. I should be world champion. I'm going to destroy whoever's in front of me. I don't give a damn. They're going to pay for it. But then Fallah Bahh comes out. Right when Rockwell's about to get his head taken off. And you would think, okay, Fallah Bahh. Why Fallah Bahh? Is he Rockwell's friend? We never seen him work with Rockwell. What was the point of bringing Fallah Bahh out? And then worse yet, he had a match with Moose, and Moose loses. Why? Then afterward, like the last time he lost, he said this never happened. This match never happened. This wasn't an official match. This match never happened. And he walks off angry. Why are they going down this route with Moose? I don't get it. I don't understand. I'm really confused. You guys tell me what you think. Because as far as I can tell, it's like they want to make Moose into a jobber. Now, I know it doesn't seem like it, but it really does feel like it. It's like he's a crying bitch that's going to become a jobber. And that's what it feels like. Shouldn't he be in the main title picture? Shouldn't he have been taking on Michael Elgin again? Because Michael Elgin is trying to get his hands on Brian Cage. Shouldn't he have been dealing with Michael Elgin? Shouldn't that have been Michael Elgin? Because Michael Elgin's trying to become champ. And Moose wants to be champ. So why would you put Fallah Bahh on him? And I'm not against Fallah Bahh. I like Fallah Bahh. Especially he's lost some weight. He lost about 100 pounds. He looks better. He's actually quicker. He's a lot more fun. But it's not about Fallah Bahh. This should be about Michael Elgin and Moose dealing with each other, trying to see who can get their hands on Brian Cage next. I just don't get it. Now, let's do this. It's time for that match. I don't even know what I'm going to call this. Maybe, did Tessa get the right help? I think, yes, that might be the right name for this. Did Tessa get the right help? Because before the match between Tessa and Madman Fulton, you got Rich Swann coming to her, trying to explain what OVE is like and what Madman Fulton is like. And it didn't really sound right what he was saying. He should have pretty much said, look, Tessa, I've dealt with OVE. I dealt with Sammy, and I dealt with all of them. You need backup. You need help dealing with OVE. Not Madman Fulton, but OVE, because she needed it. This is what I was saying before, when she needs help. And she says, no, I don't need you. I got to do it myself. Don't worry about it. I'm okay. So when we get to the match, and Madman Fulton is in there, I will say this with Tessa, she took some hard-ass bumps, and I'm glad she did. She needed to take those bumps to show that she's not invulnerable. She can put up any defense she wants. But as I said, between Havoc and Johnny Bravo, if you put Havoc against Johnny Bravo, you know Havoc's going to destroy. But if you put Havoc against Madman Fulton, yes, it's still a man versus a woman. But because of her sheer size and impact she can give, she could actually make sense competitively. This isn't about a man's always going to beat a woman. This is about, calm down. This is about storytelling, ladies and gentlemen. And I've seen some of my subscribers saying a woman can never match a man. This is not about if a woman can never match a man. This is about how a company, a wrestling company, can tell you a compelling story that will suck you in and either make you hate it so bad because the bad guy is pissing you off, or you love it so good because you love the good guy, or in this case, good girl. And when you look at Havoc compared to Tessa Blanchard, I could believe a Havoc could easily make a serious threat to a Madman Fulton. Doesn't mean he would be beaten easily or be beaten at all. But I can buy that. This, I didn't buy it one damn bit. He looked like he was playing with his daughter, the way he was throwing her around. That looked like his 7-year-old kid or 10-year-old child that he was throwing around like a rag doll. And it looked so bad. And the worst thing is, I knew he wasn't going to win. But in a sense, he didn't, but then he did at the same time. Because after all the bumps that Tessa took, and I commend taking some hard-ass bumps, he grabbed her ass and threw her very high up and very high down in a choke slam. He gave her a bear hug. That's something you can easily fake. But getting thrown hard to the floor of the mat is not easy, no matter who you are. And then pulling out one of his hairs, one of his dreadlocks. I don't think I got a picture of that, but that was a good sort of thing, but then it's not because he didn't even feel it. But anyway, once Sammy took a chair, threw it into the ring and said, kill her, she is pretty much incapacitated yet, still messed up. He grabs a chair. The thing that gets me, instead of it being Rick Swann, who would make the best sense, because he just spoke to her. No. We have Tommy Dreamer come out with a kendo stick, fighting with Mad Dog Fulton. He manages to distract him enough that Tessa doesn't get hit by the chair. He gets hurt. She picks up the kendo stick and starts wailing on him. Didn't really do a lot of effect. But still, what happened to Rick Swan? Why wasn't it Rick? Or Rich? You know what I mean. Why wasn't it him? Or it could have been both of them. It would make sense if both of them came out. But it was Tommy who came out. And it makes honestly no sense when you set up Rich in the very beginning of the show. He could have came out with a kendo stick. And then Tommy could have came out after that to give him a backup along with himself. That would have made more sense. So was this believable? No. This felt very convoluted. This is what I was worried about. They didn't want to give her any help. They didn't want to give her a group of people. Then she is confronted by somebody who says, look, I can help you. I know these guys in not a very straightforward way. It's more of a roundabout way, the way he was talking about it. Rick. But, no, not Rick, Rich. I keep saying Rick and Rich. I'm sorry. But you get my point. Shouldn't it have been Swan who started it and then Tommy after that? That would have been better. Or better yet, both of them confront her because they both dealt with OVE. This just didn't feel right. This felt like half-assed. I'm sorry. To me personally, it felt half-assed. Now, I'm not going to take nothing away from Tessa. She took some hard-ass bumps. Getting thrown. You could see one of them in my face. He threw her down hard. So I commend her for taking those hits. But it just didn't feel like the writing was there. And I'm making this clear to everyone. Even the ones who do not like me. The ones who keep saying I'm a dick or something. I'm saying it to all of y'all. The most important thing here is storytelling. This isn't about if the woman is ever going to be better than a man. This is a wrestling company that's trying to tell you a story that you should get sucked into. This is not a story I'm getting sucked into. It just looks bad. And I was worried about this. And this is where it looks. Unless you're going to have Tommy next week. Because I don't know if she got the #1 contendership. And please, don't anyone leave a message. I'm sure some dicks are going to probably do it. So I'm asking you not to. Whoever deletes comments, please. And I'm making this very clear. I do not delete comments. But whoever has been deleting it, if anybody leaves a comment saying that Tessa won or Sammy won, delete that mess. Because I do not want to see it. I have not seen Unbreakable. So I don't want to know. But next week, unless Tommy and Swan is in her corner and she says, okay, I accept your help, this is not going to work. This is bad. But it's just my point of view. Have a good day. Have a good night. Watch for my Unbreakable pay-per-view.